Welcome to another Walk in Tajimi video. Today we're going to walk along the river on a stretch that used to be part of the old Shita-Kaido Highway, which was constructed in the Edo period. That era started in the early 17th century. If you have the slightest interest in food and plan to visit Tajimi, a visit to an unagiya, an eel restaurant, is a must. On the Nagase side of the Tajimi Bridge, near the end, you will find an eel restaurant, the Uoseki. It is one of many eel restaurants in the city. Tajimi is a tradesman's town, I wrote. The city is famous for pottery, and people who traded the wares needed to take their customers somewhere to dine with them. Unadon was the perfect solution, a quick yet tasty meal, not too cheap and not too expensive. Let's continue our walk. First we'll get a quick glance of the Tajimi Bridge, which we will talk about more a bit later. And then we turn to the right and start walking on what was once the old Shita-Kaido Highway. This road was important for transporting Minoware pottery from our region to Nagoya, as well as a route for travelers. The Shita-Kaido Highway ran from Nagoya through the Ikeda and Nagase villages in Tajimi, partly on top of a stoneback levee right here along the Toki river. The levee was very low and weak, and even a minor flooding would wash it away. To prevent this, the road was moved away from the river to the nearby Nagase village, about 100 meters from here, maybe less. The Shita-Kaido turned and continued across the Tajimi Bridge, which was built from wood and only usable during winters until the beginning of the Meiji era. During summers it would frequently collapse and be washed away because of flooding, and boats would then carry people across. In 1880, on the occasion of the Emperor Meiji's visit, the first board bridge was built at the government's expense. The Emperor was accompanied by 1,000 people, and surely the local authorities wouldn't want to greet him with an old bridge in the sorry state it was in during those days. The bridge was thus reinforced, but nevertheless it was washed away by a flood in the following year, like it had so many times before. Heavy rains and flooding kept washing the bridge away time after time. Each time the bridge was rebuilt and then washed away by the rising water, the wagons that arrived at the crossing had to be unloaded, transported across, and then reloaded on the other side of the river. However, the city people were determined not to let nature have the last word, and at the 1910 bridge crossing ceremony, an altar was set up in the center of the bridge. Flags were displayed on both banks, fireworks were set off, and sumo wrestling, stick fighting, and sword fighting were held. As the era changed from the Taisho to the Showa era in the mid-1920s, and the use of cars increased, the bridge came in need of modernization. It was not fully equipped with handrails, and many people fell off to avoid passing cars. By this you can tell that it wasn't terribly wide either. In 1937, finally, the first reinforced concrete bridge with pavements replaced the old wooden structure. Let's return to the Uoseki restaurant. I interviewed Mr. Murate, the cook at Uoseki. "We kept a stock of eel in cages in the Toki river here," he said. "My grandfather had to stand watch, guarding them against thieves. When there were heavy rains and flooding, the eel would escape from their cages. At those times, people would come to try to steal them from us. These days we exclusively use farmed eel, however. There are no eel fishers here anymore. It's not possible to make a living from eel fishing any longer. But on a sunny day like this, with the birds singing along the river, it doesn't matter anymore. Let's just walk along and let our thoughts wander across the sky like the clouds, moving as they wish, without worrying too much. Here in the countryside town, we can allow ourselves that luxury."